Good morning. So my name's Kevin Aylward. Like the slide said, I'm Global Director of AWS Solutions at DXC Technology. Basically, I run the AWS pre-sales solutioning group globally for DXC. So who, you might ask, is DXC? DXC is a one-year-old company that was formed by the merger of CSC and HPE Enterprise Services. We just celebrated our first anniversary on April 1st. The company itself is a $25 billion IT services company, global IT services company, with 150,000 employees around the globe. So each company has about a 50-year history of IT services, and we've merged those two companies together. So today, I wanted to talk a little about what we're doing in the digital insurance space. The legacy CSC was a major insurance software provider across the globe. We're one of the largest insurance software provider firms in the world, and DXC has taken that and is working with Amazon to create digital insurance as a service. Before we actually get in, and I'm a infrastructure and platform guy, right? So I'm going to talk a little about the technology behind it. Before we get into that, I think it's kind of important that we do at least set the framework of what's happening in the insurance industry and how disruption is forcing companies to consider digitizing and the digital disruptions and how they address those. So for the agenda, we're going to talk a little about disruption in the insurance industry, how market leaders are reacting to that to that disruption, what DXC is building with Amazon for our digital insurance as a service platform, and then we're going to kind of transition a little to the Omnichannel experience. So when I talk about Omnichannel through the presentation, I'm really talking about persona-based, customizable, persona-based user view of a 360-degree view of a consumer experience. And then we're actually going to finish off with a demonstration of our digital insurance platform as a service, doing a quick quote with Amazon Echo device and Alexa. So what's happening in insurance? Insurance carriers across the globe are facing new challenges from a lot of different directions. The growth of new entrants into the marketplace, online aggregators, price comparers, new technology companies like a Lemonade and some others, and then just overall IT commoditization and digital transformation, the abundance of devices and sensors across the globe. The number of mobile devices exceeds the number of humans now. And there's a cost to that. And then one of the major pieces is the changing market dynamics, right? So how we sold insurance for the last century or so, right? Agent-based, carriers selling at an agent-based model. That's not what today's consumers are interested in. They're used to, they want to go direct. They're digitally savvy. They're rejecting traditional products and approaches, right? And then carriers are faced with really an overwhelming amount of data, the data revolution, a proliferation of new data sources to deal with as they help, generate their new products. So digging into that a little more, Google, the largest search engine in the world, is in the insurance market in the United States. They are in Texas, and Illinois, and Pennsylvania, and some other states, you can kind of see up on the screen there, right? They're basically an auto insurance aggregator, right? How to shop for insurance. Well, that's a totally disruptive, for carriers, right? And they're not the only one. Across the globe, there's aggregators and comparers that help digital savvy customers shop insurances, right? Compare this to that to that. In the U.S., one of the major insurance provider, it's called Progressive, that's part of their advertising campaign, right? When they give you a quote, they'll give you their price plus 2 or 3 competitors. So that's a kind of radical shift on how insurance is sold. So what's that mean for insurance carriers, right? It's a commoditization of their capabilities and significant pressure downward in premiums. From an impact perspective, some data points are that we've seen in the UK at a 25-30% overall reduction in premium prices, and further leveling of the playing field at the lower barrier to new entrants. So predicting the future in insurance is obviously hard, but the trends are getting clear, right? So there's increased distribution channel diversity. There's a move, obviously, toward self-service, direct consumer selling, price aggregation, commoditization, and really customer centricity. And then usage-based products, right? Home, health, just a multitude of capabilities, right? And a lot of that has to do with some of the changes in technology. There's a requirement, basically, at this point, to engage in multiple channels: web, internet devices, mobile apps, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the overall trends of consumption-based IT services pushing against insurance carriers. A lot of the way we delivered insurance software for the last half century was mainframes and mid-ranges, non-digital enabled capabilities, right? The commoditization of IT has put a lot of pressure into that channel. And then the increasing amount of data, and obviously cybersecurity. So how are market leaders responding to this? So I want to talk briefly about kind of old and new here, and unfortunately, I need to look at my notes to make sure I didn't miss the key point here. So the set of words on the left are really words describing how we did insurance for the last century or so, right? Sold by agents, transaction-based, paper-based, and that's really the inside-out approach. The transformation market leaders are working towards is an outside-in approach. So the words on the right are how the fundamental change in IT, and outside-in approaches to insurance is where we're going today. Bought by customer. It's about customer experience. It's digital. It's real time. It involves the capture, use, and personalization of large amounts of data to enable better customer experience and continuously add value to capability. And it's built on a large and expanding ecosystem. So this is much of what we're seeing on the right happening under the banner of digital insurance. So how market leaders are responding is focusing on 3 key themes: consumption, understanding, and engagement. First thing, consumption. What customers are? What's the journey for customer buying? Right? What's the consumption chain for insurers? How will product innovation drive these over time? The next theme is understanding. So it's driven by data, and much of that data could be machine-to-machine generated, as well as direct consumer-related data, and it's shaped potentially by behavior of data about from things, right? Whether it's Internet of Things or mobile devices. A lot of you have probably heard of the insurance apps where you have it on your mobile phone and you drive around in the car, and if you have the app running, and it reduces your insurance rate because basically it's monitoring you all the time to see if you're actually a good driver. That's one of the things we're talking about. You can see in the next slide, let me get to the next slide, sorry. Engagement is the theme is about how to create rich engagement. Let me flip to the next slide. So this is where I was getting towards. So some of these data points here, I talked about some of these a little earlier. Mobile devices and the number of things outnumber humans, growing 5 times as fast, right? Delivering a seamless experience across a lot of different devices is critical, right? Think of all the ways you interact with banks, insurance companies, et cetera, right? Web, mobile, phone, social, a lot of them you can interact with on Twitter and stuff for support, right? So delivering a seamless customer experience across those multiple touch points is hard, right? But that is, that's critical for insurance carriers going forward, right? Streamlining the consumption process, simplifying processes, gaining agility to that, and consuming, a large amount of data, right? In understanding customers, what we find, and the data has shown that not, surprisingly, even a lot of large insurance customers don't have a single customer view, right? They have so many data silos, and that just won't play in today's market, right? You need to break through those data silos, enable a single customer-centric view, basically to make smarter interactions possible. You need to leverage, shockingly, a lot of major carriers don't look at past, purchases or interactions to influence, new recommendations. And so that needs to change. And then engagement, customers, and think, if you think about the recent controversies around Facebook, and the data sharing and all this, customers, people have voted with their feet, right, or their wallets. They're willing to share their data. I mean, they're sharing data with, social media companies for nothing, right? With insurance carriers, with banks, they're willing to share data, especially, if that would help them get better deals from them. So, to succeed, insurance carriers need to focus on 4 imperatives, and I'm going to get into next what we're doing at DXC, but this applies to us as well. Building greater customer intimacy and engagement models, simplifying, automating products, simplifying your product chain, and reducing your capital deployments, right? And then ingesting and using new data sources. Building new, tackling legacy. So if anybody thinks this sounds vaguely familiar and sounds like what Amazon's been talking about for the last several years, you're right. I mean, this is an industry-specific, situation where what Amazon's been saying about disruptive change, it's present in this industry. And largest and small insurance customer or carriers need to embrace this. So DXC, our legacy, we have, and you'll see throughout the presentation here, we have a legacy of insurance intellectual property, right? DXC software runs where, I'm going to steal some thunder from later slides, but in the US of the Fortune 500, the top insurance companies in the Fortune 500, 90% of them are DXC customers. In the Global 2000, the insurance companies, the largest insurance companies, 50% of them are DXC customers. So our insurance software powers a large percent of insurance transactions across the globe. So this is one of DXC's major business areas, right? It's not our only one. We do traditional IT outsourcing. We have, healthcare verticals. We have energy, insurance. Travel and transportation, et cetera, silos. But this is a major business for DXC, right? So we, as a software provider to, and a solution partner to these insurance carriers, have had to tackle our legacy, retire our technical debt. And this is what we're building with Amazon and for our customers. So we're pivoting to digital insurance as a service. It's end-to-end software solution, software infrastructure operations, built, managed, run, evergreened in a curated ecosystem with a consumption-based pricing model, right? Part of what we're attempting to do here, what we are doing here, is cutting down the deployment cycles for insurance carriers from, for traditional systems from 12 to 18 months down to 4 to 6 months, right? So it's really driving out that infrastructure component and bringing, APIs, RESTful APIs to a heavy legacy code base. So you can see there in the technology stack, right? The traditional legacy systems, built off gateways, API services, microservices, and then multi-channels or omnichannels to input. So obviously in that middle area there, sorry, I don't have a pointer. API services, gateways, infrastructure. This is an area where we're heavily leveraging Amazon, right? Retiring that technical debt. Sometimes back-end systems have to stay. What we're doing is we're building wrappers, API wrappers, frameworks around those to bring them into a modern DevOps environment. So this is kind of the reference model for what we've built. I'll get into a little more about it later. But you see at the core, I'm an infrastructure guy, platform services underpinning it all, right? But it's really around building an API framework across the full chain of an insurance system, from life, casualty, property, billing, all of the various components of insurance that you can imagine, right? And wrapping those in a RESTful APIs that are consumed and consumable, right? So it helps extend an ecosystem, a digital ecosystem. So it's more than just a platform as a service. It's about building an ecosystem and through partners, right? So flipping to this slide, we're going to spend a little bit more time on this slide, right? Because when we do the demo, you're going to see this slide again. So on the right are kind of the DXC component pieces that make up the framework on the left. So our managed cloud service, managed security services, various components of our identity and access management system, and then our service management, et cetera, et cetera. So those are just component pieces. What we're building here is on the left, the Omnichannel UX framework, that's what we're going to get into the demo later. So you're going to see this in action, but let me just make sure I didn't miss the points I wanted to talk about on this slide. Sorry. So the system you can see here, global insurance, property and casualty, life group, product rules engine. Those are the legacies. They're wrapped. We are rewriting those into newer digital frameworks, but where not possible, we're building API gateways around that. You leveraging Amazon's capability. The REST interface to all of this and API gateways, Amazon helps us take that global, right? We're going to get into that in the next slide. But the key components are business agility and speed, right? So it's pre-integrated, end-to-end solution. It has product configuration, It's dynamically generated UI. It has outside-in persona, and it's persona-driven, right? It has global capability with regional sensibility, right? So I'm going to show a slide, talk about how we've deployed it in regional pods, and guess what? Leveraging Amazon's global regions is a massive benefit to that. It has a consumption-based pricing model. It's scalable, industrial, and elastic. All things should sound familiar to you if you've been coming to Amazon conferences for a while. And key is it's disruption ready, right? So it's open, RESTful APIs. It's discoverable, conversationable, ecosystem enabled, consumable, and it's able to be consumed. So we're offering it, working with Amazon to build it. It leverages a lot of DXC's past purchases, Global 360net, exchanging, and then just the overall DXC leadership in the insurance space. But it's really a forward-thinking, next-gen type capability here. So we're going to come back. You'll see this slide when we do the demo, kind of the interaction through the UX framework, down reaching into the policy engines. And so I wanted to frame that up before we got to the demo so you would see, because you're going to see this again. So what's it look like? So this is a kind of a reference architecture. We keep adding additional AWS services to it. It's built across, the policy administration system is the key system of record in this, built on AWS IaaS services, right? Up the stack, container services, right? We're really looking at Fargate and some of the others, right? But today you see, the container services on top of AWS using Route 53, CDN, the various AWS services, and a lot of through API Gateway. So we add DXC, we add a ServiceNow wrapper around it to help us manage it, right? That's a part of our AWS managed services offering, is ServiceNow wrappers. Part of what we use for ITSM. We are building our digital insurance as a service as on top of our structured cloud platform services offering. So DXC sells to customers managed services for AWS. It has a service wrapper around AWS services. It's provided in a gold management services where DXC is responsible for OS management, and then layered on top of that, the next layer up, applications, can be managed. This is built on that essentially. And up the stacks, the security management service we do sell to customers, this is built with that. So we're layering up the stack on off-the-shelf capabilities, and underpinning that is really Amazon technology. So I didn't, in the interest of time, I didn't have time to kind of dig into how each pod is built, but the key message is the pods are deployed globally, right? And there again, AWS's, vast number of regions and availability zones across the world is a key component of that capability. We're deployed today. We have, I talked about some of our products, right? So names that can come up in parts of this are Integral, Riskmaster, Six, Point-In, PB360. These are all software products from DXC. A variety of them are deployed across all these hubs around the globe, and our Singapore hub, we're moving customers into that now. This is really fully enabled, and our ability to execute this is really based on Amazon's capability across the globe for this vast consumable infrastructure. I've been working with our insurance group for the last 3 years, helping enable them to make this transition. The nice thing is we're doing this so our customers don't have to, right? We're selling this package, consumption-based, and helping them not have to go through this pain. Let's flip on to that. So the digital insurance platform as a service is built off of, core capabilities that DXC is selling in the marketplace as individual capabilities, right? Our cloud management service, our security service, our ITSM capabilities. So this is a matter of just taking these, component pieces and layering on the industry-specific capabilities, the framework capabilities. So what we're able then to do is provide it as a fully managed platform, evergreen with SLAs across the globe, which is fairly unique in the market. So we're using proven capabilities from Amazon, and we're adding additional capabilities as we go. So that was a little about the infrastructure. I'm not going to claim to be an insurance expert, but I did want to touch on why why the industry changes are impacting the architectures. Now I want to get into the omni-channel experience, right? So customers are asking, in the insurance industry, why can't I do things as easy as I do in other walks of life, right? Why can't I consume or purchase insurance as easily as if I would buy a book on Amazon? All right, there's all of these innovations in different industries. Where are they in the financial service space, right, in the insurance space? A while back I talked about how we sold insurance for the last century, right, agent-based. That's not a scalable model in a direct business relationship, right? You can't scale agents, physical agents like that, in a direct business-to-consumer model, right? You require web scale, you got responsive capabilities, right? You kind of require, frankly, a lot of what you can get out of the cloud, out of Amazon, right? So omni-channel, 360-degree customer experience, and it's more than just customers, as we'll show in the next slides. What it's really talking about is connecting the electronic dots there, right? How do I build a consistent customer interaction across all my interactions with the customer, where they want self-service, but they want help, right? And they want it on demand. They want access to their digital access anywhere on any device at any time, right? They want to interact directly with you, right? But they want to do it on their own terms. So what enterprise IT has to do is enable this from both the business and technical perspective, right? We have to have the capabilities to help our outward-facing business in the industry, the insurance industry, generate this. And it's more than just users. It's about personas, right? So there's the policyholder persona. There's the claims processor persona. There's broker agent persona. There's all these different stories, and they have the various attributes. So when we talk about API enablement, building a RESTful API across the various products here, we're working towards a single interface capability across a lot of different user personas. That's an omni-channel engagement process. So more stuff about this, right? There's lots of different views into there. It's policyholders, agent brokers. Really, you get down into software, systems of record, but it's about generating smart engagements, consuming, data, making contextual and actionable decisions based on a multitude of inputs. So 4 key points to delivering a digital customer experience, right? You need a seamless customer engagement across these delivery channels. Think mobile apps, right? A mobile app on an iPhone is one experience. The web browser on the iPhone is a different experience. You need a seamless experience across there, right? Voice, web, all the different capabilities and modals that you can have. You need a seamless experience. You need the right message through the right channels at the right time. You need to ingest and understand a lot of sensor data, right? The amount of data is exploding. You are generating it consistently, but you need to shape that digital customer experience, based on data. And you need to offer, that last slide, I skipped past it a little fast, but you're basically storyboarding customer journeys and their roles through your process here. So, sorry. Somebody said, don't hit the back button. It was a mistake, I didn't mean to. So this omnichannel technology stack is essentially probably what you would think, right? At the bottom, physical infrastructure, IaaS, components, right? Where we're at down here when I mentioned these various products, Integral, Riskmaster, these are DXC products wrapped in, up at the layers above, APIs, operational RESTful APIs, moving all the way up through into UX and UI. But that was just us talking about it. What I want to do now is actually kind of show you how this works. So, because it's a little complicated to try and do this live, I'm going to have Chris Barrett, who's one of our digital insurance offering leaders at DXC, do a demonstration of this RESTful API experience across a quick quote process using DXC's Digital Insurance as a Service and an Alexa via Echo Dot device.
I'm going to introduce today is an example of what we've built out from an advisor perspective for a life insurance company selling an income protection product. And to demonstrate this, through a quote process, I'm going to use Amazon's Echo device to show the omni-channel nature of the RESTful APIs in which we've built this platform. Alexa, open Power Quote.
Welcome to DXC Quote Creation Demo.
Thank you.
Would you like to have a new quote?
Yes.
Great. I am going to ask you only 7 questions for this quote. Let's start. What is the gender of the insured?
Gender is male.
Insured gender is male. What is the age of the insured?
Age is 35.
Your insured is 35 years old. What state does the insured reside in?
Resides in New South Wales.
Insured resides in New South Wales. What is the occupation of the insured?
Occupation is actor.
Insured occupation is actor. We are halfway there. Let's keep going. What is the annual income of the insured?
Income is $55,000.
Insured annual income is $55,000. Is the insured smoker or non-smoker?
Non-smoker.
Insured is non-smoker. What is the first name of the insured?
Name is Chris.
The default waiting period is 14 days. Benefit term is 5 years. Premium type is stepped. Premium basis is agreed value. The monthly insured amount is 3,667 Australian dollars. If you wish to change them, please log on to the Omnichannel website. Based on default values, I will give you the premium for yearly, monthly and fortnight. Yearly premium is 446 Australian dollars and 49 cents. Monthly premium is 40 Australian dollars and 15 cents. Fortnight premium is 17 Australian dollars and 38 cents. Please choose the premium frequency.
Monthly.
You have selected monthly. Quote number is Q O 2 4 3 7 9 5 9 4 4 2. The quote has been saved with the name of Chris. That's great. We are done with this quote. Would you like to repeat the quote number again?
No.
Thank you for using DXC Omnichannel quote. See you next time.
So what you can see here is using a quick quote process through the Amazon Echo device, which could equally be captured through screens on an iPad or on a laptop device. But what it displays is using the same RESTful APIs that would be used on any of those devices to interact with the policy administration system and the pricing engine and the ancillary systems around that, and coming back with a single consistent view and message coming through in that process. Having captured the quote, the advisor can then talk to the customer about whether they want to go forward with the application. And at that point in time, there are a series of underwriting questions that need to be asked. Obvious things such as occupational details, client details, medical history, and all of these have the ability to use reflexive questioning before moving to the payment screens and the final confirmation of the policy that then gets issued together with an application number. All of this process enables straight-through processing in a fast, digitally enabled world and is our platform for the future.
Thank you. So I hope that kind of capped off a little bit about what we were talking about here. So just a couple slides and then we're going to keep moving forward. So as I kind of mentioned, DXC is a market leader in the insurance space, right? We continue to work with the largest insurance carriers across the globe, but we're also one of the largest IT services firm, traditional IT outsourcing and managed service providers in the world as well. Our insurance business is more than just software. It combines IT, the insurance software platform, process serving, application services, hosting, business process services, and integration of next-gen capabilities into that. So at Guardian, we're migrating their enterprise billing platform, PB360, to AWS. Our RiskMaster products have, I believe, 80 or so customers moved to AWS around the globe. The integral product that we sell is deployed on AWS. It's kind of part of the foundation of the digital insurance platform as a service. So I'm going to wrap up with this. Forget the register part here. DXC has a suite downstairs in Opal 101. We're talking about some of our traditional IT services, our cloud and platform services around managed services for AWS, SAP HANA, and workload migration services. The interesting thing, what I've been talking about today with the digital insurance as a service, it really applies in the case of our other platform services apps like SAP. A lot of the capabilities that we've built out to do, our insurance software as a service are the same capabilities and constructs we're using to drive SAP deployments across the globe as well. So no need to register. You can come visit us downstairs from noon going forward in Opal Room 101. With that, my time is up, and I'm going to turn it over to the next speaker.